This is my father's book by John S. Beatty about African religions and philosophy. We focus on world building. And I often talk about world mapping and the power of maps and how often throughout history maps have been utilized as a tool for misinformation and propaganda. Since this book is about religion and philosophy, I find it quite interesting that literally the first page is a map. Just like religion, maps provide a framework for us to see and navigate the world. But then the question then becomes, where does this framework come from? Who provides the dominant framework? Who is positioned to be perceived as the authority that can provide the dominant framework? And how does that then shape how the viewers of said map then begin to view the world at large and then internally the world within themselves? In order for a rendering, a visual rendering of a world to be demonstrated, it has to be inaccurate. Why? Because one, we're dealing with issues such as things like scale. I mean, look at the picture. Is Africa literally this big? Of course not. Africa's not the size of my hand, but in order to fit on this paper, it had to be written as if it was. Then there's the reality of projection. We're talking about a world here, so something that is 3D, and then taking something 3D and putting it on a flat surface. So in order for this map to exist, it had to, one, be shrunken down the size, and two, it had to go from a 3D rendering to a 2D rendering. So from a sphere to a flat surface. So innately, naturally, as we look at this is an inaccurate depiction. This is not at all accurate, but we are led to believe that it is. This is why I speak of imagination. This is why I speak of world building and world mapping and why it's so powerful. Because when you create a world for yourself in which you are the sovereign one, you are the one that determines the framework of your map, you determine the scale, you determine the projection, you determine what the symbols mean, you determine where the borders begin and where they end. It changes your entire self-image, your self-concept, your self-esteem. Even some of the tribal names listed are inaccurate simply because it's difficult to translate or render African names into English translations and transcriptions. I say all this to say, look at the world around you. So much of it is built off of utter lies and misinterpretations and inaccuracies. And yet here you are basing your entire life off of a limited framework simply because it is a framework that you've been told to believe in. This is why world mapping and world building is so powerful. It allows for you to take back your sense of agency.